Hi everyone, I'm Mrs. Gonzalez and we are going to continue our work with multiplying a whole number by a fraction. So the last time we met, we multiplied a whole number with a fraction, and the method that we used was using an array. Today we are going to try a different method in solving multiplication with whole number and fraction. So we will begin by using our 3-read protocol. Remember, our 3-read protocol helps us to get a better understanding of the word problem that we're working on, helps us to be more successful when we solve the problem. So let's begin. Now we know our first read is done by me. So while I'm reading, I want you guys to think about what is this situation about? What is going on in this problem? I'm going to read the stem of the problem for you, and keep in mind, I want you to think, what is this situation about? All right, so let's get ready. Kenny has 35 coins. 3/5 of these coins are quarters. Just take a moment and I want you to think about, what is this situation telling us? What is going on in this situation? Okay, so I'm noticing that this situation is about someone named Kenny. Kenny has coins. He has 35 of them. And then we see that 3/5 of those coins are quarters. So I'm thinking that all of these coins that Kenny has, there's a certain amount of them that are quarters, and this amount is represented by 3/5. Very interesting. So let's continue. We are going to now do our second read. Now, our second read is when we read chorally. We're going to read it together, okay? So, are we ready? Okay. Kenny has 35 coins. I can't hear you. 3/5 of these coins are quarters. So now what I want you to think about is, what are the quantities in this situation? So let's focus on the quantities, the amounts, right? A quantity is an amount. So again, we have 35 coins. The unit is the coins, right? Because that's it, that's what it is that we are counting. And then we have the fraction of 3/5. And 3/5 of these coins are quarters. So, I know a quarter is worth a certain amount, 25 cents, but would that matter in this problem? Interesting. Okay. Now let's do our last read, our third read. And after we read this together, because again, this read will be done chorally as well, I want you to start thinking about, what mathematical questions can we ask based off of this question? Okay, so let's get ready to read the problem again. Kenny has 35 coins. 3/5 of these coins are quarters. So I'm going to give you a moment to just think about any mathematical questions that you might want to ask in regards to this problem. So I'll give you a moment. Okay, great. So let's share some of these questions that came up while we did the third read of our word problem. So one question that came up was, wow, I'm noticing that 3/5 is represented in this problem, but how much is 3/5 in relationship to this problem? So that is definitely a question, a wonderful question that we can post. So how much is 3/5 equal to? Right? Great question. So let's slide that question right here. Cool. So another question that came up was a certain amount of these coins are quarters, then how many remaining coins are there? How many coins are there that aren't quarters, right? That's an interesting question. So let's post that one. How many coins are not quarters? Okay. Let's make that a little bigger. Wonderful. And then another question, of course, is how many coins are quarters? Another very important question. So, great job formulating these questions based off of what you've read. So I'm wondering if these questions can be solved, can be answered rather, these 3 questions based off of the information in this problem. I guess we're going to have to see. Now, the method that we are going to use today is a method in which we are going to use something called a tape diagram. Last time we used an array. This time we're going to use a tape diagram. So as you can see, I already started to construct the tape diagram right here, and it is in a rectangular shape. Now, let's go back to the word problem. We know that Kenny has 35 coins, okay? 3/5 of these coins are quarters. So this tape diagram right here is going to be equal to a whole, one whole. This one whole being equal to 35 because there are 35 coins. So I'm just going to write 35 right here so that we know that this tape measure, this rectangular shape right here, is equal to the whole, and that whole is 35, okay? Because that is the amount of coins that we have all together. Now, here in our next sentence, it says 3/5 of these coins are quarters. So 3/5 of this whole amount, this whole tape diagram of this 35 is going to be equal to the amount of quarters that are within this total amount of coins. So I'm just going to write 3/5 here really quick. So the last time we spoke, we did a quick review of what a fraction actually represents. So 3/5 here represents, the denominator represents the total amount of parts, and the numerator represents the total parts that we need, that we have. So our whole here is 35 for the 35 coins. Our denominator is 5. So that means we need to take this whole and we need to break it into 5 parts. Okay, so let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts represented by our denominator, okay? So we took the whole of 35 and we divided it into 5 parts, okay? Now, the numerator represents the amount of parts that we have, that we need. So if this is broken into 5 parts, that means that each part is equal to 1/5. So 1/5 with another 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. So 5 1/5ths in total gives us the 1 whole. Okay? Now, since we need to concentrate on 3 of these fifths, what I just did still isn't telling us how much 3/5 is equal to. Okay? We need to know exactly how many quarters are represented in this amount, in this problem. We know it's 3/5, but we got to know the actual number. So let's think about that for just a few moments. And let's think about how many coins are represented in each of these fifths. Okay. So I'm wondering if I just took 35 and I split it into 5 parts. That means I'm taking 35 and I am dividing it by 5. What is 35 divided by 5? That's equal to 7. So that means that in each of these parts, there are 7 coins. Again, I have 35 coins, and I took these 35 coins and I broke it into 5 parts. And I made 5 groups of 7 because 35 divided by 5 is 7. Therefore, that means that each fifth has 7 coins in it. Now remember, our numerator of 3 tells us that we need 3 of these fifths, hence the fraction 3/5. So if I have 7 coins in each of these fifths, 3 of these fifths together is going to give me 21, which means there are 21 quarters that Kenny has. So out of the 35 coins, 21 of those coins are quarters.